Before you go any further, look below and click the subscribe button. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Savvy Business Podcast. We always like to bring you topics on sustainable growth and how you can not only grow your business, but yourself professionally in your career or whatever it is that you're doing. Today, we're going to talk to Neil. He has this thing that I'm going to call, a thing, but so many of you want to be authors and be out on Amazon and these different platforms. And there is a quick way to, do some of those things. Not if you're writing a book, but like more like journals, puzzles, something, like that, notebooks, where you can create your covers. And he has this system that's called Book Boat. And we're going to talk about that today and share how it can really benefit you. And I'm also excited to share that they have partnered with us for the month of March, Women's History Month. We're doing a variety of different things, and they have partnered with us. So I'm excited to announce that as well. So let's jump right into it. Neil, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. And let's just jump right into it. Tell us about how Book Boat came about and why did you think, it's needed?
So I've been kind of poking around on the internet, if you
Mhm.
will, for probably over 10 years now. I've tried pretty much anything you can think of. And when it really comes down to it, the hardest part of starting any business, whether it's online or in person, isn't necessarily the product. It isn't necessarily like the effort you put in. It's finding and acquiring customers, right? So, I mean, that's the hardest part. Marketing always stumbles everyone up. So, long story short, I essentially got started on Amazon because that's where all the customers already are. They already exist there. They're already in that mood of buying and clicking that
Yes.
button.
Mhm.
All of us listening, me included, have clicked that buy button more
Yes.
than once
Yes.
and spent way too much money with impulse purchases and
Yes.
gifts, you name it. So I kind of just landed up doing businesses on Amazon. But the great thing about these books, and we'll jump into the books because you don't need to be an actual author, which I certainly wasn't.
Mhm.
But they're print on demand, which means you don't. Not only are the customers already there, but you hold zero inventory. You hold not only do you hold no inventory, you don't deal
Yep.
with any customers. Now, if
Yes.
anyone here's been in customer service, that is a godsend. Not dealing with people yelling at you about X, Y, and Z. So no customers, no shipping. So you're not shipping, you're not fulfilling, you're not getting yelled at because all of this stuff is prime shipping. So 2-day shipping, super fast, it's print on demand. At the end of the day, all you're doing is using your creativity to create products and then getting
Mhm.
paid when someone buys them. You don't deal with any of that huge like supply chain issue in the middle,
Yep.
which I think is pretty much the best thing ever. And the customer base is built in.
How many times have you gone store to store looking for the perfect party accessories and could never find that perfect design? So you had to settle for what you could find. Look no further. Party Elements has the perfect party decor for any occasion. From cupcake toppers, candy buffet themes, plate settings with the option of custom plates, wine glasses, custom pins, greeting cards, and so much more. Get your custom or ready-made party accessories for any occasion from Party Elements. At Party Elements, entertaining has never been so stylish. Reach out to Party Elements at partyelements.net or Etsy at Party Elements by SD. Yes. Well, I mean, that is it's awesome. It's beyond that because I am an author, so I do have two books, but of course, that was, content in that.
Right.
But, with so many people shifting and just trying to find different ways and to have a product, this is a quick, easy, and simple way to create you a product to get out there to, like you said, sell on Amazon, and have the resources. I've tinkered around in it a little bit and just having it where it's connected to Amazon, where you can, compare your prices and products as you're creating and building. So,
Well,
like,
and also, I don't want to interrupt you, but like you would understand this just as much as I do. Is how long did it take you to write your book?
it took a minute. It took some time.
Yeah, we just publish a high content book, right? So like think not a story, but actually like how to do X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
It's between 400 and 500 pages. It took me 4, 5, 6. It took me forever, basically a long, long, long
Hmm.
time to not only write it, but go through and edit it
Right.
and make sure the cover is looking great. But we're talking about like low content books. You know, those books that you go to at the store and you're like, hey, here's a journal and the inside is lined pages. Or
Yeah.
you get a Sudoku book because in 2020, when the world basically shut down and everyone's sitting at home, bored out of their minds,
Yep.
buying books on Amazon to keep themselves entertained, not actually read, but interact with,
Yeah.
which it allows you to go to market with an idea and use your creativity, even if you're not an artist, because I can barely draw a stick figure. But if you
Yeah.
have like an idea, you're going down the road one day, you're looking at the signs, you're looking at people walking around you, maybe someone's got a funny t-shirt on, and you're like, that would make a really good journal or like a log book. And you
Hmm.
can quickly throw that up on Amazon, have a product live in the next like 24 hours
Hmm.
versus, all right, now I need to manufacture this and find a printer and do the editing and re-edit and rewrite this chapter because it sounds
Right.
too, it's not convoluted like at all.
No, it's not. It's not. And let's hit on that a little bit. Like you're saying, interactive, something to keep you busy. And as I poked around on the site, I saw that there was an option for puzzles. So how does it work, with puzzles? Do you just put like a subject in there and it finds something and create, a puzzle book? How does the puzzle work?
Yeah, so there's a few different options, and let's just kind of back up a little bit. Multiple different puzzles, right? I mean, you have like word searches,
Right.
Sudoku, crossword, Kakuro. Sometimes you maybe never heard of these puzzles. They're very popular. Dot by dot. The thing is, some of these puzzles. So, for example, Sudoku puzzles, all it is math. It's numbers. So those you can go
Right.
in and instead of drawing out your big 16 by 16 grid, and if anyone's ever tried to do that in Photoshop, MS Paint, whatever you guys are used to using to
Mhm.
do any sort of graphic design, that takes forever. Way easier just to put it into a program like BookBolt, click a few buttons that say, hey, this is math, and click submit. And it basically builds out your entire book for you, except for the cover, which you have to build.
Right.
But then there's also other puzzles like word searches. Now, word searches have words in them. So clearly, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time crafting up what we call a CSV file. It's basically like Microsoft Excel, Google
Mhm.
Sheets, same thing. You enter in your own words, you upload that. Again, you click one button and boom, it makes your word search for you. Now, when it comes to stuff like word searches, yeah, they take a little bit more time, but it's a little bit more higher value product for the end Amazon customer. So not only can you charge more money for it, but you're going to get paid more once someone buys it.
Mhm. Right. So, can you show us a quick demo on not only what BookBoat can do for you, but how easy it is to navigate through the
Who you
system?
surround yourself with really does matter. The people you associate with and spend time with have a huge impact on who you become and what you do in your life. Hi, my name is Jeff Hagee, and I want to tell you about my Inner Circle Mastermind group. This is a group that's designed to surround you with like-minded high achievers who will help you to think bigger and amplify the performance of your business and your life while tearing down all the barriers that are holding you back. A mastermind is the fastest way to get you to the next level. If you're ready to network and connect with other successful entrepreneurs and influencers, go to coachhagee.com/mastermind.
Sure, let me share my screen here. All right, hopefully you can see that. So I pulled up an example project. We're gonna start from fresh. If you guys are brand new to Amazon making books. This is what the book bolt designer looks like. We call this the book bolt studio. And if this is the first time looking at it, which it probably is, your screen is not going to look like this. It is going to look like this. So it's going to ask you to pick a project type. Now, when it comes to picking a project type, KDP is cool because not only can you publish ebooks, which we don't really talk about because ebooks are electronic. They're not because it doesn't allow the customer to interact and write and fill out and do everything that's awesome about print on demand books. So
Right.
what we usually focus on are paperback books, and they also have hardcover books. So 2 different books, 2 different ways to make money on product pages on Amazon, but they also have all of these sizes. I don't actually know how many this is, but it's quite a lot, as you can see from this drop down menu. 5x8, tiny little book, up to 8.5 by 11, a lot bigger. Those are great for coloring books if you guys have artistic ability. And if you don't, you can just pay people to create coloring book pages. But anyways, you give it a name, so we can just say, hey, test project name, right? You'd give it an actual name, and you pick a trim size. And you'd want to do some research and look at kind of the niche you're going into. Let's just say we're doing a random journal here. I don't want to take up too much time going over this, but you pick a size. 6x9 is actually the most popular size on Amazon. Like if you look across the entire catalog, a 6x9 book, very standard, best-selling price or best-selling size, if you will. Now, before we actually get into creating, we have to pick a few more things. You have an interior and paper type. So default, the interior book's going to have black and white interior with white paper. That's usually what I tell people to stick with, because if you put color in your paper, think about the last time you went and bought color for your printer, color ink. It is expensive. Same thing happens at Amazon. They are not going to charge you, but you're going to have a higher base cost. So when someone goes to Amazon and buys your book, your royalty, the amount you get when the transaction is done, is going to be much smaller unless you compensate that in the price of your product. So I always recommend people just stick it at black and white with white paper, because remember, guys, these are low content books, no content books, journals, trackers, logbooks, etc. You have bleed and no bleed. It's a simple way to explain that is I just keep it at bleed, but bleed bleeds to the edge of the paper, and no bleed has a border around it. And then finally, your page count. Again, you'd want to look at what you're going into on Amazon. Now, for low and no content niches, if you will, right? You might see like a unicorn journal for kids, or you might see like, hey, happy birthday, I'm 4, for again, kids. The low content niches are around generally about 100 to 120 pages. So we can go ahead and just put in 100 pages in here. So we're going to do a paperback book that's a cover and an interior in one project, so we can do everything in one screen. I gave it a name. We're going to do a 6x9 book. It's going to be black and white, and it's going to be 100 pages. So we can go ahead and click Create Project, and that's going to bring up this page. So right here, this is what it looks like if you were to pull this into Photoshop, or if you actually have some artistic ability. This is what you pull down from Amazon. The right side of the page, as you can see, is the paperback cover. It tells you all these dimensions. One of the best parts about using the BookBolt software is you can ignore all the dimensions. Now, I've had a lot of problems in the past before we made this where, you try to create it for the number of pages you want, and you go to upload it to Amazon, and you're getting errors because maybe your interior of your book ended up being 115 pages, and you created something where these dimensions are like 0.37 millimeters off. And you're like, what is going on? No need to worry about that. And the back cover here is the back of your book, and clearly the middle is your spine. So I'm just going to turn off the opacity. This is what it usually looks like when you're actually creating. I'm not going to do a cover today because I want you guys to use your imagination, come in here and actually start, creating stuff with what you want. But what hangs people up is this interior, right? How do I get puzzles in my book? How do I get line pages, log books? We built all of that directly into the software. So we're going to come into the left-hand menu. And again, guys, I made a 100-page project. So think about how much time, if you wanted to do this and you didn't have any experience, this would take you. I know because I did it. It was horrible. So all you need to do is open up the page templates here. There's 100 plus in here. I think we're at like 120, something like that. But you'll see these have variants. So we have ruled pages, lined pages. We have ruled with field, journals, graphs, so on and so forth. You have mazes. Here are some puzzles: hangman, neurocopy, crossword, Sudoku, word search. More mazes. We got career planners, notebooks, online shopping trackers. So if you never created a book, this is an amazing way to come in here and just be like, I had no idea that people were buying this stuff on Amazon. I mean, roommate agreements, right? If you guys went to college, or if you even lived with anyone else, you can imagine some of the fights you probably had with your roommate. That stuff sells on Amazon, and you can see that it's very, very simple. So just to show you how easy this is, I'm just going to go with a line page. We're just going to create a simple interior for a journal. We'll click on journal, and then you get to pick, hey, do I want a wide ruled journal, a college ruled journal, or a narrow ruled journal? We're going to go with college ruled because why not? And then you have in one screen your 100 pages. And all you need to do is say, hey, I want the entire interior. So I'm going to select all, but I don't want it on my cover. So I'll deselect the cover, click on next, and it's going to say, hey, do you want any margins on this? Do you want to change the spacing of the lines? Do you want to change the line color? When I'm doing a journal, I usually don't. I literally will just click submit. It's going to look through. It says it's checking. And then as you can see here, here's page 1, line journal, like interior done. Page 2, interior, the entire book, besides the cover, which that's where you want to spend the majority of your time when you're creating these products, is completely done for you. You don't need to do anything else besides that. Now, if you wanted to, real quick here, I'm going to come in here and delete this one on page 1. I'll go ahead and click on save. If you wanted to have different pages in your book, maybe you want one page to be, or like every other page to be a line journal, all you do is same thing, right? You come in here, you say, I want a college ruled journal. You could select every odd page. So number 1, number 3, number 5, number 7, etc. would be line journals. Go through that process, which we just did, but you can come back in here and be like, you know what? I want page 1 to have I don't know, let's see here, a house sitting guide. Now put that on page 1, and we'll say, yep, we're not going to change any other options. And there you go. There's your house sitting guide, and then you're done. It is that easy. Or you can upload anything you want to the file library. So you see I have a bunch of test images in here. I have a picture of my ridiculous looking dreadlock dog. It's basically, you can do anything you want, and all of this is customizable. So when you're done, you come back to the cover, and I'm going to open up that other project I had as an example, composition notebook, right? So just to talk you through this notebook before I stop sharing my screen here, I created a cover. You see, it's very easy. All I did was I added an image. I made a pattern out of the image. I gave it some background color. I wrote composition notebook on the front. And then we'll go to page 1. And page 1, instead of actually jumping right into the journal, I did a few things that make a big, big, big difference on Amazon. Number 1, I told people, well, I didn't tell people. I basically made a page for the buyer, right? The customer on Amazon. Whoever buys this will be able to fill out their name, right? They're interacting with the book. And number 2, I put in a QR code. Now, it's been a long time. I use this as an example a lot. So I have no idea where this QR code goes. Hopefully it's an actual Amazon page. But creating a QR code is a simple way to bring customers that bought your book back to your brand to buy anything else that you have for sale. Not only will they leave more reviews, they'll buy more from you. They'll remember you. It is this silly little QR code is so great for building your brand and your business long term, right? Because this isn't something where you expect to publish one book and make $1 million in a week and a half. It's, you're going to publish a book, you're going to improve, you're going to publish a better book, you're going to do some marketing. And after that, you have all these product pages on Amazon, and all of them are continuously building your brand for you while you sleep. So the last thing I did here is I made the interiors. And again, you can see I use this as a test project. This has nothing to do with the book. But here's a line page, right? And what did I do? I added a background to it right here, as you can see, and I changed the opacity. So normally it would look like this. That looks horrible. I turned it way down, and that's going to print. So they'll be able to see that on their book. It differentiates your product from everyone else doing line journals on Amazon. So it differentiates it. It makes it unique to your brand. And when you turn the opacity down, it's super easy to write on. And it just adds that little bit of extra. And that takes 30 seconds, right? So you could do that for one page, right click it, and then you could clone right here that single page if you want, if you spent a long time, to your entire project and just be done with it. So instead of building out page after page after page and drawing the lines and adding the images, once you're comfortable with this process, I mean, you can do this entire thing in, I don't know, 5-10 minutes and focus the majority of your effort on, all right, let's make a cover that looks really good, that's unique to my brand. And your brand doesn't have to be a notebook. It could be a puzzle book. It could be, if you're into ballet, right? Maybe there's different, and I'm not into ballet. I know nothing about ballet, so I don't embarrass myself here. But right, if you're into ballet, maybe you need to actually write down something in your ballet lessons. I don't know. You could build that for all the parents in your kids' ballet class. That's a niche. You can do anything you want. You'd be shocked at the amount of weird and interesting niches on Amazon that people will buy in, and you can make money doing this.
Wow. That is amazing. I mean, it's a simple process. In the beginning with anything that's, you're brand new to, it may take you a little time, but it's still nothing compared to doing it from scratch and doing each individual page. So I mean, just this process alone is amazing. Now,
if you really think about it, it allows you to test the market extremely quickly. Like, I can put up a product, test the market, figure out if it's going to work or not. If it's going to work, I can do 10 more of the same thing in such a short span of time. Whereas if you were in the brick and mortar business, I would have 100 products up in the first month while you might be still shopping for a lease for the building you need to rent, right? Like, the time to market is insane.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Now, some people may be looking at this and, like with anything, who wants a journal or who wants to do this, or that self-doubt. The thing, and I think we mentioned a little bit before, is being able to bring Amazon up and look at, do a search for a journal or a puzzle book or whatever it is, and see what the demand is, and also pricing. Do you want to be known as the subject matter expert in your industry? Scan the QR code today to take advantage of the $200 discount for a brand assessment. The assessment will give you a summary of how your brand can step up a notch to get noticed. We have been seen in various platforms and have gained credibility and are known as the subject matter expert for digital media and branding. Sign up today for a brand assessment and a one-on-one consultation with me, Melissa Ambers. Don't get left behind. It's time for your brand to stand out.
You know what? Let me show you my screen again.
Okay.
And I have not prepared any of this for anyone watching this. This should be interesting. So this is the inside of BookBolt, right? This is the actual software. There's two sides. There's the design side, which I kind of briefly just showed off. But if you're going to have success doing this, you need to figure out what people on the other side of the screen, all those strangers out there, the millions of people on Amazon, are actually buying. Because you can create anything that you want for yourself, but you might be a market of one person, and that's no way to build a business, right? So we're going to head over to the cloud module here. Now, cloud module is basically going to be a replication of the KDP. So Kindle Direct Publishing is how we publish these low content books on Amazon. That's what their back end is called. And this allows us to look at bestsellers. So I'm just going to change a few things. I'm going to say I want to look at the top 500 bestsellers And here's all of these categories: notebooks, journals, music sheets, calendars, planners, coloring books, activity books, puzzle books, comic books, and the list goes on, right? So we can just go in here and select journal. We'll click on search, and what this is going to allow us to do once this information comes back is you'll be able to go through here and look, like, here's a prayer journal. Here's a good day's gratitude journal. Here's a journal that has swear words on it. And those do very well, by the way. I don't want to insult anyone, but you can look at all of this information and it'll give you. So let's use one that is not super bunch of swear words on it. This one, prayer journal for women, 52-week scripture guided prayer notebook for women of God, right? 6,000 reviews. And if you really think about it, the review rate on Amazon is astronomically small. So very, 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 very small. It's priced at $7. You might be thinking, well, how on earth do I make money at $7? Volume. These are selling 600 plus units per month. And you can take a look at the actual graph here and notice, all right, we've been tracking this product over time. Now, there's this thing on Amazon called BSR, or Best Sellers Rank. And real quick explanation of that is if you look at categories on Amazon, so if you're looking in the book category, a Best Sellers Rank, or a BSR of 1 is a better seller than everything else on Amazon. So you have to think that it's kind of correlated. If this book sells better than everyone else, it's going to be number 1. Then you have number 2 here. But if the number 3rd spot starts selling more products more than everyone else on Amazon, except for number 1, they're going to move up to number 2. So there's millions of books on Amazon. So there's so many different niches you can go into, find low competition. But this is basically just a way to say, like, hey, has this person changed their price? You can see it kind of bounces between $6.99 and $7. Mm-hmm. Amazon kind of tests prices, but you're still getting paid that royalty at the end of the day. You're selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of units each month. Mm-hmm. And let's just go ahead and open this up and take a look at what it looks like inside. So we'll click on this and we'll scroll down. This is the entire book. It's not going to show you the entire book. It's going to show you the back cover. As you see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 words. There's 15 words on one page and some blank lines. And all they did is replicate that over the entire book. Over 6,000 people have bought this, way more than that, because the review rate's probably like 1% or less. And there's hundreds moving each month at a very, very low price. No one is going to come in and be like, you know what? I really wanted to buy this $7 book, but I need to like feed my family this week. Yeah. $7. It's not like, all right, it's $50 expense, it's $100 expense. So not only do you pick up a ton of volume on such simple books, I mean, they did a great job on this cover, right? They used some floral patterns, big text, really, really, it's niched down, right? It's prayer journal for women, and it's 52 weeks, so it's a year long. Really, really good job on this book. And that's literally just one book. What I like to do, I'll scroll way down here. Let's just find something interesting. Softball Girl, right? This one is still selling hundreds of units per month in the journal category. Scroll down even further. What is this? My Feelings Journal and Worry Book. Still selling hundreds of units per month. We have a grief journal for kids. We have a period journal for also probably kids, right? Who would have thought that would have sold? I wouldn't, but it's a thing and it's selling really, really well. So it's really cool to come in here and do this research. And I like to bring up coloring books because I think those are the most interesting. They're the hardest to create, but you can come in here and you can just start like, here's one for toddlers. Here's a mindfulness coloring book for adults. Again, I can scroll way down here. You got books for adults like this, which is hilarious. Another coloring book for all sorts of things in all of these niches. Here's one on ice hockey. Color by number. You got a dark kind of horror related stuff. So just coming in and looking at, if you have no ideas on what you want to create, which that's often how I wake up. I'm like, all right, what am I doing today? I'll come in here. I'll just start poking around. Like, okay, instead of coloring books, why don't we come up here and we'll just change the category to, I don't know, log books. and we'll click on search. I didn't change anything. I can come in here, tracking your password, tracking your blood pressure, accounting. We got tax season coming up, right? So like those are about to start flying off the shelves. You got workout books, you got password books again, you got weightlifting. Anything you can think of, I promise there is probably a niche on Amazon that people are willing to pay for something that they can write in, to track anything that you can think of under the sun. For any hobby out there, there is a niche on Amazon to create these low content products. You're not writing a full book on how to do weightlifting, lined pages for people to track things. So easy.
Again, just amazing. I mean, you have, summed it up really well in showing these examples. I think it's so much better than just talking about it and being able to not only see the screen, but what you can do, the options. And of course, we don't have enough time to really go through all of those, but I mean, just a little bit that you did show, you obviously can see there are so many options and opportunities for anybody that is even questioning, should I do it? Let this be the start to, whether you want to write a book or not, but let this be the start of getting out there. And, if you have the fear of Amazon and everybody else that's on Amazon, here's your open door. What would you share with people, about getting on this program and doing books? What are some of the testimonials that you've had, by using this product opposed to trying to, draw lines on 100-page?
Yeah, so kind of interesting. We have a Facebook group. So if anyone's thinking about giving this a shot, we got a 3-day free trial, completely free. So you could literally go in and create something and get it on Amazon by the time you're probably done listening to us talk. So that's super interesting. But the thing is, we have a Facebook group. So back to my point, we got a Facebook group that we just started maybe a month ago. There's a couple thousand people in there. But it's really cool to see people come on and they've heard of this through a podcast, through a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a guy like 2 weeks ago who he put up 3 or 4 books, and in his first month did over 100 sales, and he just like logged in and could not believe what he was seeing. And that's, to be honest, that is my experience with every time I've started any kind of e-commerce business, right? Because I'll start and I like to prove the concept to myself. You don't have to pay people a bunch of money. I want to create things myself. And I want to see if they sell and kind of prove the concept. The first penny is always the hardest. But once you see that first sale, no matter if you made, a penny, a few dollars, $10, 20, whatever it is, it's just like, oh my God, this is real. And that the guy had the same experience, right? Like he logged in and he's like, he sold over 100 products his first month. And, you have other people who have done journals in the past and they've used other design programs. And it took, not only did it take them way longer because you actually have to draw out, say, puzzles or lines,
right?
But the learning curve, and I have tried, I can do simple things in Photoshop, right? Photoshop definitely not the best in order. There's Canva, which is a free alternative, but also it's not designed for books. So we have a lot of people who have created stuff in Canva that end up coming over to BookBolt in order to format their stuff so KDP accepts it. So there's a lot of moving parts with margins of books. Because if you think about it at the back end, the number of pages you have is going to determine not only how big your cover and your back cover is, but how big your spine is. A 25-page book, tiny spine versus a 200-page book. And all of that is math, right? Like you're going to have to be exactly precise on every single page, left pages and right pages. They have different margins. No one thinks about these things, but that's all done inside of kind of what I showed off automatically. So me, who basically finds it hard and with the learning curve of some of these other programs, I don't even have to think about that because I just select the size, select how many pages I want, and I just start designing, and then I can upload it to Amazon. So super simple.
This is, anyone that's watching, at the end of this video, you will have the website spelled out for you so you don't have to guess and search. We're going to put it there, and also a QR code for you to scan and go directly to the site to sign up. And if you use the code SavvyMagBiz, you'll also get a 20% discount as well. So sit down, strap in, and start creating some books. Thank you so much, Neil, for coming on, going through this, showing us the examples, the demos, and everything. We really appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Do you want your business in front of an international audience? Advertise with us today. Savvy the Business Podcast. Send us an email at media@savvymag.biz. That's media@savvymag.biz. Send it today. Don't get left out. Follow us on our Instagram at SavvyMagBiz and on our YouTube channel, Savvy the Business Podcast. Thank you for joining us on Savvy the Business Podcast. If you want to be a guest, send an email to media@savvymag.biz. That's media@savvymag.biz. Don't miss out on the opportunity to be heard by millions.